So Australia Day is the landing of the first fleet, right? We all know that. Well, I think we all know that, but from what you've just said, perhaps we don't. But I guess when you have these groups, everyone tends to agree there needs to be a national day of celebration. But if the 26th of January is not in, are there any other suggestions that might fit?
I think that's the million-dollar question,
exactly,
Laura.
Right.
Certainly.
So we know what we don't want, but we don't know what we want exactly.
Yes, yeah.
Right,
It's
okay.
I mean, you get some folk that talk about what about the date of federation, which I think, from memory, forgive me if I fail my Australian history, it was the 1st of January, or the 2nd of January.
Very good.
But you know, then others will say, well, that's no good for me from a public holiday perspective. You know, I like the late January public holiday. If we could do something around this time.
So all of a sudden these high ethical, moral standards are just reduced down to whether or not you get an extra public holiday or not.
Yeah, and the timing of that public holiday.
Of course. Okay. Any suggestions? Do you wish to put your head above the parapet here, Simon?
Look, I think if I was pragmatic about it, I think it's a matter of time. I think it's a matter of time until we change the date. I think the changes in the demographic profile, because demographics are important here, amongst those where that support, that adherence to Australia Day is strongest, is very much it's quite niche in a sense that it's that sort of late boomer, early Gen Xer cohort that's quite very much sort of Howard's battlers, Howard's Praetorian Guard, and sort of buying into that sort of version of nationalism that Howard promoted back in those years has carried through today. That group is becoming less politically powerful. I don't want to use the word relevant. They're still relevant, but they just don't constitute enough voters anymore.
Yeah.
So I think from a political sense, it's a matter of time. I think, as you said in the introduction, companies are doing their own market research. They're making their decisions about these sorts of things. I honestly think it's a matter of time.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you here. And if you're going to be pragmatic about this, it's become a day which is a day of division. Whether you like it or not, whatever side of that divide you're on, it kind of defeats the purpose of having this national day if, you know, we're divided by it.
Absolutely, and that's what we see, that idea of, you know, if this is going to cause trauma, no one wants to be that person. No one wants to be that person that is causing other people pain and heartache and trauma. Yes, it's important to have a national day. Why not pick another day that everyone can enjoy? That's that sort of pragmatic resolution that most people, that sort of mainstream middle Australia sort of land on.
Yeah, well, that's where the next fight is, what that new date is, Simon. So we'll see where we land on that, because the arguments there are that it needs to be in summer because it would be un-Australian if it was in winter. May 8, mate, I'm not sure whether that passes any kind of weird pub test, but perhaps it's recognition, whatever day that might happen. We'll see. Simon, good to talk to you as always.